It's true. It wasn't your imagination. It wasn't your failure to look things up right. I was missing in action all day yesterday, and first thing this morning, yeah, a little bit of something bit me. I'm not sure exactly what it was, maybe some flu bug that's going around, but I am back, at least enough to be able to put the show together for Sunday night because we can't not do the Sunday night show. All right, so what's going on right now? Well, the number one subject of the entire weekend, of course, was FSD 13 being released. There are those who are suggesting that maybe that's why the stock ran up so much on Friday, was that somebody knew. I don't think so, but you can't be sure of these things. But the there's little doubt that this version is greatly improved on the intervention side. And of course, there are new functions. First of all, you start the trip now on the navigation screen if you want to. So you can be sitting in your garage. You can put in where you're going, or maybe it'll automatically put it in because, it does that. Surprisingly, shockingly. Oh, you always go to work at this time. Okay, it must be work. Anyway, so then you just push go or push, I'm not exactly sure which push, but you push something and off you go. You don't have to push the stalk or anything like that. It backs you out of your garage. It takes you all the way to your destination. And of course, theoretically parks you at the other end as well. Now, some people are saying that maybe that parking at the end is not as clear, that it happens all the time perfectly, but we'll hear more about that over the next days. You also got reverse. That's a very nice thing, which of course you couldn't get out of your driveway if it wasn't for that. And some of the new functions seem to be where the most of the issues are popping up. I'll keep reviewing these as I see them, and then I'll remark on them tomorrow and Tuesday, etc., as we go along. There seems to be a lot of expectations for this new release. Some people are thinking that it's going to be a really big uptick in the stock tomorrow. I think that the big close on Friday, even if it wasn't because of expectations about version 13, would obviate or not obviate. It would mean it's unlikely we would get that big jump on Monday because of it. Moreover, this has been, widely anticipated, and so this could even be a sell on the news situation. So I'm not, the stock might go up tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to be because of the FSD 13 release. Tesla Roddy says this about it. They said there's a substantial update for FSD version 13, and it's something that effectively makes full self-driving supervised the most advanced driver assist suite available to consumers today. How about by a long shot? Even the most ardent Tesla critic, after all, would find it difficult to argue with the legitimacy of a system that takes vehicles from park to park. I mean, some of the other systems that are out there barely do, if you're going 55 or 65 miles an hour on the freeway in a part of the freeway where we've already, know that it's okay. I mean, give me a break. This is already way ahead of everybody else. Tesla's AI team member, 𝐄𝐦𝐚𝐲 Afternoon, noted that the FSD version 13 is probably one of the biggest rewrites in years, where we began to set foot on the journey of photon count 4 years ago. He also highlighted that FSD Supervised is the culmination of a collaboration between numerous Tesla teams, from data, vision, compiler, system, firmware, UI, QA, PM, and others. I don't even know what half of those are. But the point is, this was a rewrite. I didn't realize this. Version 13 is a rewrite. He says, we refactored the entire system to drastically simplify the pipeline, direct photons to control, yet providing a lot more functionality under the same unified framework. In a later post, Cy clarified that FSD Supervised version 13, well, we already said that, it's a complete rewrite. When asked if the leap between FSD version 12 to 13 is more substantial compared to the leap from 11 to 12, he said that the version 13 build is quite akin to SpaceX Raptor engine version 3 for Starship. If we can visualize FSD version 13, it would be a lot like the Raptor V3, very clean. So And others, you may remember seeing them. Maybe you haven't seen them, but if you haven't, it's really interesting, where they show how each Raptor engine over the years, more and more stuff has come off, and they've just cleaned it down to where it looks really perfect. And so I think what he's saying is we've been able to strip away the things we don't need, making it cleaner, making it faster, et cetera, et cetera. Here was a couple of late comments just before I started to put this together. Holmar's catalog says it's one of the best first builds. In other words, there's, when you have a first build, sometimes you see a few things. He says he had zero safety critical interventions or driving interventions in the first 2 days. Chuck Cook said, replying to JSM1 Smothers, I guess it's supposed to be with a 1 instead of an O, said, I don't see any safety issues that would keep version 13.2 from going wide. It is better than 12.5.6.3. Okay, so then there was some discussion also on X today about whether or not we can get to that 20 to 30% increase in 2025. And so I came up with a list. Here's the positives. Here's the reasons why I think it's going to happen. In fact, I think, me, the optimist, I think it's going to be way higher than 30%. Number one, the Cybertruck ramp will be continuing and the prices will be coming down. Number two, Juniper will be coming out. Number three, the more affordable vehicle will be coming out, whatever that is. And there was a lot of discussion again about whether that is a bigger version of the robotaxi with 4 seats, whether that is just a stripped down version of the Model 3, which I've kind of suggested maybe it might be, where you just kind of the Mexico version that they have right now. But I continue to believe, I think this is going to be a completely different vehicle made on the the Model 3 line, okay, but not a Model 3. A different looking vehicle, probably a hatchback. That's the most likely. Okay. Then there will be FSD as, remember, these are reasons why we're going to beat that number, even the 30% that Elon mentioned. FSD as a feature, that alone is going to create more customers. People will want the car just to get the real thing. Now that once it's done, once it's really operating as a chauffeur, people are going to want that. They're going to want that to be first on their block. They're going to want that because they want to be able to work while they're being driven to their office, etc. Number 5, there will be entrepreneurs wanting in on robotaxi, and they will be buying up all the used vehicles. Plus, they'll be buying up tons and tons of these vehicles as well. 6, and I had one person respond to me already on X and saying, yeah, I want to buy some to start my fleet. So number 6, Republicans will be more likely to be interested now. And number 7, the economy, the overall economy is expected to improve. And as the economy improves, people will be wanting to get into automobiles again. And by the way, even though auto sales have been okay last year, they haven't been what they should be. And that's like some of the other things that we've noticed. We've been talking about the durables. So maybe the auto sales will also pick up next year. And then interest rates should be coming down, and that would help as well. Now, I know it's Randy, so maybe I don't even have any negatives. Well, here's 3 that I came up with. Maybe you've got some you'll put in the comments. Number 1, Democrats will be less interested. There'll be a few. I'm going to say it's 3%, or 4%. They'll be like, I'm not going to buy a Tesla. Anyway, number 2, gas prices dropping. This will impact U.S. sales. It's not going to impact European sales or it's not going to impact China sales, but it could impact U.S. sales. And of course, the Democrats and Republican thing. Well, to be honest with you, the Democrat-Republican thing is impacting European sales a little bit. There's about 12 people over there in Norway that said, I'm not going to buy a Tesla. Number 3, the end of the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, the end of that $7,500 discount, if it happens, could create a problem. Again, my feeling is it will end, but it won't end until January of 2026. And so it will not impact 2025 sales, except to the extent that it drives them forward with people trying to get in ahead of it in December. I mean, all of the fourth quarter, quite frankly. Okay, BYD continues to be about equal to Tesla in pure BEV sales total year to date. They're probably going to beat them BYD will probably sell more pure BEVs in Q4 than Tesla. But the amazing thing is that their total unit sales are now running like 500,000 a month, which is 6 million a year. So if they can continue that run rate of 500,000 average, they could be looking at $6 million a year next year. That would put them, I think, at number 6 among all automakers. How about that? Then in unit sales, not in dollars probably, because most of their cars are inexpensive. Ryan Tanaka 3 says, let's say you expect Tesla to reach $1,250 a share by January of 2027. You really believe that could happen? January of 2027, I think it could reach 1,200 share by January 2027. That would give a value of just 4 trillion. Now, that's my assumption would be Robotaxi comes out and they start to sell Optimus. If they start to sell Optimus, I think it'll be higher than 4 trillion. So he says, if that happens, you could gain 261% by just owning the plain vanilla stock. But you would make 1,000%, 10 times your investment if you had the January 15th, 2027 $710 call. He says options are nuanced. They're not for everybody, but people overcomplicate them in many ways. The downside of trying to be disproportionately rewarded for a positive outcome is that you could easily lose all of your invested money. He says, I'm mostly interested. He says he mostly buys Tesla options, not Tesla stock. And let me tell you that as you may have heard before, I buy LEAPS. I only buy LEAPS to the extent that I'm willing to lose all the money. I have rarely had options completely go to zero, sometimes just because it didn't matter. This is too long to explain. What I do is I trade them out. If I see that I'm a little behind what I want to be, I just trade them out. Usually costs about 3 or 4%. If I trade it in the same hour, but sometimes you get lucky, like I did last time. You can trade it at the higher number. The lower number, and then buy it back a little in 2 or 3 hours. The stock comes down, the option comes down, and you're able to basically get in and out for free. Way too much for today, but just let me say, I only do what I can afford to lose, not just afford that I wouldn't care if I lost. So what's that number for you? For some people, it might be $1,000. They'd be like, oh man, I lost $1,000. For somebody else, it might be $5,000. For somebody else, it might be 10. So the way I think about it is, what is the number that if I lost it, I would just go, oh, well, it's okay. I'll make it back next time. But it's just got to be, I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't be bothered. All right. Well, okay. We have this is Randy Kirk, by the way. Yeah, I know it was a long time coming. So what we've got coming up tomorrow is regular morning show. Then we have Larry Goldberg around 5-ish, 4 o'clock, 5-ish, something like that. 7:45. It'll probably be Brian White, although I might be doing a very special show at 7:45 tomorrow night. I've got a special show ready to go in my head. I haven't written it down yet, so just kind of depending on how my day goes tomorrow. But I'm working on something. Let's give it a name. Let's call it 2027. That's my special show, 2027. It'll be very unique. Don't anybody steal that idea. Don't let, yeah, okay. So what do we got coming up this week with all the markets, with all the equity markets at record highs? We have coming up on Monday, first off will be the S&P final U.S. manufacturing PMI. It came in at 48.8 on the second reading. They're saying it's going to come in at 48.8 on the third reading, so we'll see what happens there. We've got ISM manufacturing, which is last month was at 46.5. They're thinking that's going to pop up a full percentage point to 47.5. And then construction spending, which last month was up 0.1, they're thinking will be up 0.2. I don't have any reason to believe that any of those things, I don't have any way to say that they're wrong. Then on Tuesday, we get job openings. We get the JOLT report. Last month, that was a 7.4 million, and they're thinking it's going to go up to 7.6. Now, I can understand why they might think that, because there might, again, this optimism that's in the world right now over the Trump victory. That optimism is no place is it any greater that in the business world. And so the business world may be saying, okay, stuff is going to be happening this year. I need to get some more employees. And so we might see a small bump in terms of job openings. This is, of course, certainly would be bullish unless you're worried about whether the Fed is going to lower interest rates by a quarter. We'll see. All right, then we've got auto sales. Some auto sales will start to come in. The monthly auto sales numbers will come in. Last month it said we were running at a 16.0 million annual rate. They don't give us an estimate for what it's going to come in on this one. Wednesday, we start getting the rest of the employment numbers, starting with ADP. They come in. Last month it was 233, very much higher than expected. And this month they're only expecting 158, which might be more kind of in the normal range. Then we got a Fed president speaking, and then the S&P final U.S. services PMI. They give no data on that at all, interestingly. The ISM services also comes in, it was 57 last month. They're thinking that stays flat. Then we have factory orders coming in. Last month it was down 0.5. They're thinking it comes down 0.3 more. So another 0.3 lower on the factory orders. I'm expecting those to turn. This has got to be the year for durables, I'm telling you. And then I'll report it probably, that's on Wednesday, probably with Lutz, Jeff Lutz. On Wednesday night, we'll talk about the Fed Beige Book. This is probably one of the things that we're hoping that DOGE will deal with, because the Fed Beige Book is a terrible, does a horrible job at predicting where the markets are going, along with most of the Fed information that we get all the time. Like last week, it was the savings rate, which once again was adjusted. Who knows how they're getting these numbers? Hopefully DOGE will do something about the numbers. But anyway, the Fed Beige Book is something that the stock market definitely pays attention to, so we will report on it. Then on Thursday, we have initial jobless claims. As usual, last week, that was 213. They're thinking it'll pop up a little bit to 215. Nothing significant there if they're right. And then on that same morning, Thursday morning, we get the U.S. trade deficit, which is expected to be negative 74.8, meaning we will be importing 74.8 billion more than we're exporting. Somebody's like, oh yeah, we need that to reverse that so the trade deficit goes the other way. Well, you got to make a decision. Do you want a strong dollar or do you want a strong trade deficit? If you want to get this trade deficit to really reverse, then kill the dollar. Really, run the dollar valuations down. On Friday, the big day as always, we get the U.S. unemployment report. Last month it was at 12,000, which was a shockingly low number. I'm sorry, 12,000. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. The employment report. I'm getting all confused here. I'm so sorry. Yes, the employment number last month was only 12,000 increase. After a massive increase the month before, we had this little 12,000 increase last month. They're expecting 200,000 on this report coming up this week. Is that to reverse last month's? Because last month's, I don't know. Be sure of one thing. There's going to be adjustments, lots of adjustments. But they're saying the unemployment rate stays the same at 4.1. So, okay. Hourly wages, they're thinking that those which went up 0.4, they're thinking they're only going to be up 0.3. And again, sometimes you say, well, why do they think that? Why do they think that hourly wages will not continue at this level where they've been for month after month after month? Hourly wages year over year have been at 4% year over year, and they're expecting 3.9%. Then the consumer sentiment numbers come in at last month, it was at 70.5. They're thinking that's going to pop a bunch up to 73. We just saw the consumer information last week, which was up. Again, the Trump effect is what people are talking about. The Chicago Fed President Goolsbee speaks on Friday, and then the consumer credit information comes in late Friday at 3 o'clock. And last month it was up 6 billion. This month they're saying it'll be up 10.5 billion. All right, so with all that in mind, what is the pre-market doing at this point? We will take a look right now. Let's start off, as we commonly do, with the bonds. And what we got with the bonds after being down Thursday and Friday, that is now reversing. So we've got the bonds up right now, 1.9 basis points to 4.213. That's the 10-year. The 2-year up 1.2 basis points. And the 1 month is up 0.3 of a basis point. So that would tell us that we're continuing about along the way that we've been, in the range that we've been in. Probably this week, we will see some jostling in this area as we find out more about this jobless situation, jobs and joblessness situation. If we go to oil, we've got oil up a little bit, 24 cents, 23 cents. Texas Intermediate, 68.25, so still well below 70, and Brent, 72.06, so getting under $4 a barrel difference. We've got some turmoil in Syria, but the peace is apparently holding in Israel, so that, apparently there's not a lot of oil activity right now because of what's going on in the war, in the various wars. Natural gas down 4.82% in the pre-market to $3.20. You've got gold down $18, 2,663. Again, that's really been in a tight range recently around that area. Silver down 0.7 at $30.89. Similar, been in a range of 30 to 34. Copper is down 0.37%, $4.12. Another one that has been range bound now for quite a while. Dollar is dipping a little bit, right? But it's nothing to be, it's really at near its highs. Then Bitcoin up 551 for the day. It's sitting at 97,521. Similar situation there, where it's been in a kind of a range, but is trying now to burst through that 100,000 level. I saw some reports today. People think that if it is unable to crush the 100,000 level soon, it might fall down to 60,000. Wouldn't that be fun if you own Bitcoin? Anyway, that's not investment advice at all. I have no idea whether this is right or wrong or indifferent. I just don't have an opinion in that hunt. All right, pre-market right now on equities. The Dow down 48 or 0.11. The S&P down 7.75 or 0.13. And the NASDAQ down 39 or 0.19. So kind of in a similar way, all three are down a bit. Not really a lot of information to give us in terms of what to expect tomorrow morning, except it appears to be a little weaker than it was all toward the end of last week. We'll see. Could be completely changed by morning. All right. So as mentioned before, you've got the regular programming tomorrow, unless I do my special show tomorrow night. And then Cybertruck Bottle Openers. Okay, more orders coming in. This is the time you want to let's get going on this, because I need it, at a certain point I need to decide whether to order more or not. And so the sooner you order, you help me out if you place your orders early. You help yourself out if you place your orders early, because then you've got it taken care of and you can cross it off your list. And you help out the people you're going to give these to, because they're all going to love the Cybertruck Bottle Opener. We know this from experience, because last year, I think we sold close to 1,000 last year. I'm pretty sure that was the number. Can you think about that? I mean, like $20,000 of business. That was a good. Now it's not all profit. All right. Hey, listen. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. And for today, it's been great talking to you.